Without knowing who I am, what I do, and why I am doing
No, I
it.
had given them a little bit of a
Right. So, what happens is treatment depends upon which drug I give, what type of drug it is, because it has to be either acidic or alkaline, because the absorption has to be okay, and when to give the drug. Should it be given before food, after food, with food, yeah? And what dose you should give. I'll give an example of anemia. They would have given her lots of iron tablets. Iron absorption depends upon the acidity of the stomach, because iron to absorb it should be in an ionized state, otherwise it cannot. It's like some fat lady wants to come through this room, she cannot. You have to be slim. So what that acid does is it takes away all the fat, makes them slim so that it can come in. And you should take twice a day to start with, and then 3 weeks later you have to check the blood, and then 6 weeks later you have to check the blood again. So when it comes in, this is like production of something, factory. One, you should have the raw material. Number two, the raw material should be used in the proper lathe or machine to make the product. Number three, it should be usable. So absorption ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆದರೆ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದೇ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಅದು ಅಯನ್ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ಇಟ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ ಮೇಕ್ ಹಿಮೋಗ್ಲೋಬಿನ್.
with all the treatments, the hair started falling here.
That's true. That is associated with it. Alopecia. Yeah, that happens. So the thing is, but it's not only iron. You need vitamin B as well onto it. People don't realize that. So they will not give because they haven't understood. 3 weeks ಅಂತ ಯಾಕೆ ಹೇಳಿದೆ? Because the hemoglobin takes 6 weeks RBC life cycle. So RBC production ಆಗಿ 6 weeksನಲ್ಲಿ ಸತ್ತೋಗುತ್ತೆ, ಒಡೆದೋಗುತ್ತೆ, ತಿರುಗಿ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಯುಟಿಲೈಸ್. ಬಟ್ 3 weeksನಲ್ಲಿ ಐ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಮೇಕ್ ಔಟ್ ವೆದರ್ ದಿ ಅಯನ್ ಈಸ್ ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ವೆಲ್ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ರೆಟಿಕ್ಯುಲೋಸೈಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಸಣ್ಣ ಹಿಮೋಗ್ಲೋಬಿನ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ದೊಡ್ಡ ಹಿಮೋಗ್ಲೋಬಿನ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಗಾಟ್ ಅ ನ್ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಯಸ್. ಸೊ ರೆಟಿಕ್ಯುಲೋಸೈಟ್ ಕೌಂಟ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂದರೆ ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಟು ಸೇ ಇಸ್ ಅಯನ್ ಅಬ್ಸಾರ್ಪ್ಷನ್ ಇಸ್ ಗುಡ್, manufacturing is also good, but is it distracted? Because if it is too big, sometimes it gets broken down before it forms the proper hemoglobin. So then I will start looking at why it is sequestrating. So basically you have to have a clear picture of what you're doing. But majority of the doctors these days, they have only this protocol. Oh, hemoglobin is so much, 8.3 less, you have to put them on iron. Hemoglobin, this thing, you should do blood transfusion. How many people are treated like that? Because blood transfusion is not a joke, because you get lots of diseases. HIV ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಇಂಗ್ಲೆಂಡ್ನಲ್ಲಿ, ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಡೋದು. See, our responsibility is not just treat it immediately. You have to think about what's the consequences in the next 10 years. I always said, we have a huge responsibility. We are not treating patients to cure them. We are here to prevent complications. God only cures the people. People think, oh, you have to save life. I mean, if there is anybody on earth who can say, I have saved thousands of lives, it's me. Why? Because every day I was resuscitating patients. How many doctors here can come and tell me how many babies or children you have resuscitated every day? I can say average 10. So my role was to be precise, because if I do a single mistake, everything goes wrong. The child is going to be mentally retarded throughout the life. So I had a huge responsibility on my head. That's why I was defending my ethics, because that is the one which protects me. It's not to impress you or impress him or impress anybody. I have to impress my own heart. I have to tell my heart, yeah, I've done the good job. Otherwise it's just like going and murdering somebody and living in a guilt. Somebody said, how do you cope? I said, how do I cope? There are two ways I cope. One, I say, I justify my reason. I said, I did everything possible, but something went wrong, it's not beyond my head. I'm all right. The other one is called denial. I totally deny it. Yeah, yesterday the child died, fine, finished, no problem. But it is not the solution. Now I am saying I have to rectify my error, because these two doesn't finish there. I know we created superbugs. We gave antibiotics unnecessarily, because that was the standard treatment at that time. 90s nalli, any baby comes in, any child comes in for operation, post-operation, everything, we give 2 antibiotics, penicillin and vancomycin. Standard. Whether they need it or not, we have to give it. Why? Because we were told that if we don't give it, they'll get infected and they'll die. Then you are held responsible. So the court will find me. Oh, why didn't you give the antibiotic? I didn't give because there was no infection. How do you know? You understand? So I have to do the blood test. So the whole situation was created by the system, which has destroyed people like me. I am alive today and I can tell you all this because I have seen everything in the last 40 years. It is changed from day to day. ನೀವು ಬರ್ತೀರಾ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ತೊಂಡೆ ಗಾರ್ಲ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಸಾಲ್ಟು ಒಂದು 3-4 ದಿವಸ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಬನ್ನಿ ಅಂತೀನಿ. ನೀವು ಹೋಗ್ತೀರಾ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಯು ಟ್ರಸ್ಟ್ ಮೀ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ 3 days later ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್ ಗಾನ್, ಯು ಫೈನ್. ಇವಾಗ ಹಾಗಲ್ಲ, ನೀವು ಹೋಗಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇದು ಮಾಡಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಬೇಕೋ ಬೇಡೋ ನಿಮಗೆ ತಲೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೆಡಿಸ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು 3-4 ದಿವಸ ಆ್ಯಂಟಿಬಯೋಟಿಕ್ ಕೊಡೋದು. ಅವಾಗೇನು ಗೊತ್ತಾ, ನೀವು ಊಟ ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ, ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ 9 ಗಂಟೆ ಟೈಮ್ ಹಾಕ್ಕೊಂಡು 9 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ತಿನ್ನೋದು. ವೈ? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದೇ ಪುಟ್ ದ ಫಿಯರ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ಯು ಗೋನ್ ಟು ಡೈ ಅಂತ. ಇವಾಗ ರೇಡಿಯೋ ಅಡ್ವರ್ಟೈಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲೆಂಡ್ ಬರ್ತದೆ, ನ್ಯೂಮೋನಿಯಾ ಬರುತ್ತಂತೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನ್ಯೂಮೋನಿಯಾಗೆ ತುಂಬ ಸತ್ತೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರಂತೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಚಾರಿಟಿ ಕೊಡಿ ಅಂತ. ಎನಿ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಇಲ್ನೆಸ್ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ಇನ್, ದರ್ ಇಸ್ ಒನ್ ಬಿಗ್ ಚಾರಿಟಿ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟೆಡ್. ಹೂ ಇಸ್ ಮೇಕಿಂಗ್ ದ ಮನಿ? The people who run the business. People are not getting that money.
Epidemic also hangye aitalla.
Epidemic is a big disaster. That is why I am here. I can't make the white fellows change their mind, honestly, because they are firmly thinking we are the smartest on earth. Okay? They will never. How can an Indian tell me this? And I am not a big professor. Okay? I am just a little doctor who did work. Why did I do the work? Because I want to get the Nobel Prize. I want to find a cure for antibiotic resistance. So my wife threw me out, my friends threw me out. I said, I don't care. After I die, people will remember who I am. If I succeed, I'll get the Nobel Prize. If I don't succeed, fine, I have at least tried. Because that is what is necessary. We need to do something right now. We can't postpone it and expect everything to be. So I have explained to you how things were, how things we did.
I think I should have recorded your speech.
Conversation.
How I'm recording it here.
Okay.
Yeah. So how is it going to be in the next generation? Albert Einstein said, intuitions is a gift from God. Intuitive mind. Yeah, I have an intuitive mind. Even people in UK who wanted to do something, the great professors who was trying to get the Nobel Prize used to come and ask me, Sri, what do you think about this? Why are the babies becoming premature anemia? I am such a bold fellow, I would come out with my own theory. Because when the babies were born, in the first 8 weeks, they become very anemic. And there are lots of theories, everybody said. But I used to come out with a theory. One day I asked this professor, so why are you asking me? He said, Sri, you have an hypothetical brain. I didn't know what it was, but it's true. Everybody is saying there is one door over there, right? But I say, no, there is another door here. I can see it.
Just one second. Yes, sir.
Just because you can't see it, doesn't mean to the it doesn't
Yes,
exist.
Yes, sir.
So So if you look at a hypothetical brain, it's like me saying based on intuition that there is a door here. And then what happens is either I have to prove that the door is there by scientific means or disprove it. So if I prove there is a door here, then I have told them there is a second channel. So people accept there is a second door, that's why this chemical reactions happens like that. And that's a hypothetical brain. And based on that, all the researches are created. So they used to listen to me. And that's how I got involved with all sorts of product development and these things, and I used to advise. Because in India, they never tell you that you have to take a patent, you have to protect your ideas and all that. And you can't use it. Why? Oh, that thing is difficult to maneuver. Finished. Okay? And they go back and look into the why is it happening. They find out with other people, and other doctors also say experience. Then they change it. They come out with a new product. And it takes over the world. When I came with a new idea to India, only thing they asked me all the time was, are they using it in England? I said no. Are they using it in America? No. Oh, then we can't do it. Why? Because we can't sell it to them. I said, you bloody idiots. If you manufacture a product which they need, they will be standing in a queue here to buy our products. You have to think. We have to be creative. We have to do it. So many beautiful products that there are a couple of products right now I'm working with some other people, which still there is an opening, okay? Because nobody has ever invented that kind of a thing. I had world patents on it, but I am working on that on a sideline. Somebody, your team is there, we can expand this into manufacturing products because I have contacts who will do that. So that is the way, the future, he said, the world is ruled by a rational mind as our leaders. Rational minds are people who say, oh, we can do this because it's been scientifically proved. This is happening. You have to do the COVID test because that's what the WHO says. They haven't tried to find out what are the problems in advising people to get their test. It's very easy to say, yeah, go do the test, find whether you're positive or negative. But what are you doing? You're making the patient go out of the house with this COVID infection, because he will not just go and do COVID test when he's not symptomatic. Only he has a symptom. He has fever, a sore throat. He thinks, oh, I might have COVID. Then he runs to the place. He's sitting in the bus giving it to everybody. He's in the train. He's in the hospital with the crowd. So COVID is spreading everywhere just to get the test. And the people who are honest, who have gone in with nothing, they just gone in there and don't have COVID, they've gone in, they all get COVID infections. His family gets COVID infections. So this is what I figured out in 1989. I said, the only way you can, that is based on experiments, like when in a unit like this, about 4 times the size, we had 6 ventilators, room, patients. So if one person gets a superbug infection, within 2-3 days, everybody gets the infection. Everybody gets the infection. Why? Because the nurse who comes in the morning, she washes hand, but she doesn't know how to wash the hand because nobody has taught them how to wash the hand. And then does all this. Then she goes from this patient to that patient to another patient. Every time she's washing. First time she'll wash for 1 minute. Second time, she'll push, spray and go. As I told you, the spray doesn't kill anything. The bacteria are there. It kills only good germs. Bad germs are colonized. She goes and touches that. Everybody. Then what I did, because I was managing the patients, I could put my foot down and take decisions on this. I said, no, if the patient gets infected, he must be in a different room, outside in a different place. First I tried that, in a different room. But the doctors and nurses were going there and coming here. Then I realized it's a bit of a disaster, because these patients, even though they're isolated, the doctors and nurses are giving it to them. Then I said, no, a doctor who treats that patient, and the nurse who treats the patient goes home. Because every time you touch a patient, you go near a patient, you do anything to a patient, you're not taking a shower. You're not changing your clothes. In COVID time, they said 2.5 meters. Yeah? But what about a doctor and a patient?
Sir, what the gloves doesn't help?
Gloves is another problem. They keep the gloves there, right? It is not a sterile gloves. It is kept there in a box. I take it and put it in. So gloves has got plastic. What do you think will attack into that? Dusting hakadrene hoga adu antkodutte. Bacteria are stuck on it, because outside the gloves bacteria colonizes. So I am putting the gloves, but outside full of germs on it. It is not protecting the patient. It's only protecting me, minimal, because bacteria might be inside also. Got it? So I have sat in the unit and observed everything. So I can see the bacteria in a different way. I was chairing a conference in in Rome. One of the professors asked me, you're telling all these things, how is that you're so sure about it? I didn't know how to explain it to him. I said, are you religious? He said, yes. He said, okay, so you believe in God? I said, yes. Why do you believe in God? Have you seen Him? No, I believe in God. I'm very religious. I said like that, I believe bacteria are my ancestors, but I have seen them because they created us. Bacteria are necessary for us to survive. They go in, they come out, they're like army. And the bacteria which you have on your body comes from your mother. Do you know the difference between bacteria, virus, and fungus? No. You have to understand this. Bacteria, huh? Yeah, parala. And I'm used to this kind of a thing. Bacteria are like animals, the smallest animal on earth. It needs oxygen, it needs food, it needs to multiply. So, but only thing is they live for 20 minutes. Okay, they are everywhere. In other words, we are swimming in an ocean filled with bacteria, viruses, fungus, oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen. They are all atoms, single molecules. This space is not empty, it is full of these things. 76% of this area is covered with virus. So what is virus? Virus is a piece of a DNA. DNA is the genes. It has what is known as RNA or some are DNA. And it is like sand. It does not, it can't multiply on its own. It floats around, and I always call virus as the computer updaters. Because the genes is made up of 4 amino acids. So the virus you need, because a little bit of RAM kind of a thing comes in. So the bacteria will go there and fix it. So it changes the genetic code. You need this virus and the bacteria. And the virus, when it comes in, it multiplies inside a cell. It cannot live on its own. So it is sand. And you breathe in and out every second. Because 76% of the space contains viruses. Funguses are the smallest plant. And all these 3 have taken origin from a bacteria known as prokaryotes. Prokaryote is a single cell organism which has lived for billions of years. It has seen dinosaurs, it has seen everybody, all the types of human beings. And they are still existing as they were. It's a single cell organism, and that is the bacteria. Okay? So now we know the difference. Bacteria and viruses and fungus, they're different. Funguses don't grow if the temperature goes too high. That's why penicillin, when it was invented, nobody could culture the penicillin. Because the fungus, they were keeping it in normal temperature for bacteria, and that was too high. So when it cools down, they multiply like mad. That's why in the toilet and all, you can see, humid areas, women having it in thrush, axilla, where it is oxygen is less because it needs carbon dioxide to make photosynthesis, the food. They can't live very much with oxygen. Plants need carbon dioxide. So viruses are non-living. So you cannot heat them, you cannot kill them. When I graduated, we did not have high-fluent disposable plastic devices. At that time, we still didn't know very much about virus either. So we were doing syringes, heating in the boiling in the water, autoclaving it. Then suddenly we came to know that there is a virus. So then we started all this new theory about vaccination, new theory about disposable gloves, disposable syringes and things like that. But I have worked before that. So I didn't wear any gloves. I was treating patients with leprosy. I was treating patients with TB, all sorts of infections. Yeah.
But can I interrupt?
Yeah.
But all the non-prakara, is my guess only. The older people had more immune to all this compared to the new generation.
That's the reason. The thing is, like us, we have multiplied from 2 billion. When I went to England, there were only 2 billion people in the world. But now there are 9 billion in the matter of 30 years. Yeah, it took 200,000 years to come to 2 billion. In the last 40 years, we have multiplied 9 times. Yeah, so just like that, bacteria is also multiplied because every human being carries billions of bacteria.
So they were less prone.
There were not many bacteria thriving. Nobody was throwing chemicals at them to make them angry. We are all sitting here comfortably, right? Somebody keeps coming and putting chemicals on us and suffocating us. How long will you put up with it? Maybe 2 days, 3 days? 4th day you say, you idiot, you're coming, I'm going to come and kill you. That's what the bacteria are doing. They are not our enemy. We are making them angry. Okay? And they're strong, they're powerful. I keep writing articles, please don't throw chemicals at them. We are all sitting here happily. But somebody comes in and throws up different types of gun inside. Maybe I'll sit for about half an hour not touching it. Then I'll be curious. I'll try to pick it up. I say, what the hell is this? What do you do with this? And then I'll get to know what the gun does. So if somebody comes and puts chemical in that, we'll shoot them. So like that, bacteria pick up chemicals which we throw at them. As soon as the chemical goes in, it's a structure. They will break it into atoms. So nimge ಒಂದು product ಕೊಟ್ರೆ reverse engineering. So we just break it and we construct a new thing altogether. So that's what they do, and they do it every 20 minutes. So practically in a matter of one day, they become resistant to that chemical which you already throw. So we cannot kill them. So why I started thinking about this is because I had an intuition. A word called 7I started appearing in front of my eyes, and I thought, bloody hell, I'm going to get retinal detachment. It's called floaters. I read everything, and I couldn't find any answers to it. It's not a floater, it's something different. Then I read great scientists and things like that had intuitions, which came as an image, as a dream, and they acted upon it. Ignoring it is easy, acted upon it. So I went searching for the answer, and I stumbled across this. I had developed Maya, Medical Advice You Access. My idea was to prevent people going to doctor initially to save cost. The poor people shouldn't go to doctor unnecessarily. If I tell them it's okay, it's not serious, don't go, then they won't go. And they'll save money. And they save their life also. But now because the bacteria are there, if they go, they'll get bacterial infection and it'll be worse. Instead of spending 10,000 rupees, they'll be paying lakhs because the child will be in ventilator. How many people can afford it? So we must try to educate people not to go. So that is the idea, this innovation. I started doing the research. Why are people coming to see me? First I wanted to know. Because there are no studies done. No record. So why he is coming? Then I collected all that for 2-3 years. And then I found out there are 9 symptoms which are important. Then at that time I developed a little fridge magnet, which is just 3 symptoms. I made one big strip of symptoms. And then I put next another same kind of symptoms, another 3 symptoms. And then what happened was, I asked the patients to line up the symptoms they have. In other words, you have to just pull it up and down like a little tape. If sore throat, little slot, then another one. Then I color coded them, which I think is serious. Doctor must see. Why should a doctor see this patient? Because that patient needs to be clinically examined. In other words, I have to listen to his chest or examine him by giving him some tests or give him some treatment and see whether that works. So I have to see and decide. So when I looked at it, it was very interesting because 70% of these patients who came to see me, I didn't have to see them. I didn't have to examine them. I could treat them based on their history. In 1996, I said every person comes to see me with a story of an illness, not history, as they have lived, experienced, and remember it. My duty is to listen and offer a solution, not a prescription. So the pharmaceutical companies are there with knife to kill me. Okay? Then I gave up and suddenly I had this intuition, 7I. What universe said is, innovation. Maya is my innovation. I tried to get it into NHS, they didn't like it, they harassed me for that and they tried to discredit it, they made a little trouble for me. But I don't care. When I have a crusade, I am going. I expect people to harm me. I expect people to obstruct me. I expect people to destroy my passion. Yeah? Because that is what humans are. They don't want to change. They want things to exist as it was. Because they're not ready to change. They think everything is going to continue like this for the next 100 years. So, innovation, integration, to initially identify infected individuals and isolate them. So the universe is saying, you don't have a right to kill the germs either. You are born here to enjoy your life. You are a human being, run around, do what you want. Nothing is right, nothing is wrong. You want to have sex with 3 women, you have it. If you want to go and kill somebody because he is harming you, you do it. I am not here to judge you. Your soul says what? Do it. But the only rule you have to remember is you can do what you want, but you must not harm another living soul. What does that mean? I cannot go and kill an animal just because I have a double barrel gun in my hand. And I get pleasure out of it. No. You don't have a right to kill animals. You don't have a right to chop off the plants. Yes, you have to chop off the plants. That's why mantras are said. If you want to build a house, there is a mantra they do. Why? I asked this person, why should you do that? He said, we do that to ask the universe, please give me the permission because I'm digging holes here and the ant hill is there. That is like an ant kingdom. We are going to disrupt that. So we tell them, please excuse me, I have to build a house to live. So let me dig holes here and I'm going to disturb lots of life. And that is why Hinduism, we have all these rituals geared up towards universe, geared up towards how we should live in a symbiotic relationship. But now humans have become parasitic. We are sucking not only one another, we are sucking animals, we are sucking plants, we are sucking everything. I want it. Nobody, in India, the first shocking thing I had was to go to a shop and stand there. People come in, oh, dosa.
Correct.
I'm saying, what the hell is this? I'm standing and waiting. They don't consider traffic jam.
Nobody will.
Yesterday I was taking the pictures of the footpath. The whole junk is there in front, rickshaw repairing. I have to walk. I'm okay. God has given me good legs and I can't even walk straight. I look straight and go. In England, I don't have to look down because I know that there won't be holes. Here, half the time I'm falling down because I'm used to going like this and I don't have the habit. And this is what the problem in India is. They are so full of me. They've forgotten why you're here. But what we have to do is to educate them. So going to the doctor, you tell them, why do you go to the doctor? Oh, I don't have to worry, insurance company pays. Yeah, insurance company pays, but you come here, I'll give you the germs. Because I have seen it as well. When I do the clinic, there's a patient who comes there, sits in front, sir, doctor, illa kajji. He's doing this. Yes, put all the germs there. Then you come there and say, sir, hegidira. You got it. Yeah? I don't have the time to clean the swab. This. ಅದನ್ನು ಒಂದು ಸ್ಪಿರಿಟ್ ತೆಗೆದುಬಿಟ್ಟು ಡಯಾಫ್ರಮ್ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಅಂತಾನಂತೆ. ಅದು ಡಯಾಫ್ರಮಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ? ಏನೂ ಹೋಗಲ್ಲ. ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್ ದೇರ್. ಅದು ಹಿಂದ್ಗಡೆನಲ್ಲಿ ಗ್ಯಾಪ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಅದು ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಐ ಕ್ಯಾನಾಟ್ ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ಇಟ್. ಓಕೆ? ಸೊ ದಿ stethoscope, I swabbed it in UK, we can do that. Swab. 8 out of 10 stethoscopes are carrying superbugs. So when you go to see a doctor, he puts it there, is book on seal, like mudra harna anta hakadange hakadru. When once it gets in, it will not leave your body. And why it is important? When you are born, as soon as you come out of the uterus, that is the time the bacteria get into your body. The bacteria are not there inside a fetus. Why? Because there is a urinary bladder, membrane ide. Bacteria can't go in. The uterus protects the fetus. Only thing which transfers through the umbilical cord are immunoglobulins. Not all the immunoglobulins. Chicken pox ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ, ಆಮೇಲೆ measles ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ, ಇಂಥದ್ದು. Some, not all, because there are big immunoglobulins. So what happens is when the fetus baby comes out, head comes out, the bacteria in the vagina in the mother colonizes. And then when the head comes out, it gets into the nose everywhere and they are colonized with the bacteria of the mother. That is forms the gut flora. ತಗೊಳುತ್ತೆ, ಹೊಟ್ಟೆ ಒಳಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ, ಹೊಟ್ಟೆನಲ್ಲೇ ಇರುತ್ತದು, ಸಾಯ ತನಕ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. They are your bodyguards. They protect your body from other pathogens.
Okay, doctor, here one question.
Yeah.
Now most of the birth is taking place through the operation. What is that operation called?
Cesarean.
So
Yeah.
that child will get this protection?
Right. I'll tell you. Now, the practice in most of the Western countries, if a baby is born by section, they take the vaginal secretion and smear it on the baby. Okay? Nobody believed this when I was talking about it 20 years ago because they couldn't understand that hypothesis. So what happens is the fetus, you are colonized. How do I know it is the mother's colony? When you look, look at the examples. If you have a friend of yours who's a successful businessman, he's rich, he's educated, he's successful. Because he's successful, he often has a very pretty looking wife. But she's only pretty, she's good at makeup and things like that, she enjoys her life, partying and all that. You look at the children will be riffraffs, they'll be drug addicts, all sorts of mischief. We always look at this father and said, Yengastu educated fellow, makal nodrela dari agbididare. But nobody realizes that actually the problem is not the boy, because the problem is the germs which have gone into the baby. When he comes out, mother's germs have come in. She's completely a thick lady. She's good looking, pretty, everything, but she doesn't actually, intellectually she's not good. So the germs in her are not good. So they go in. The father is intellectually, his germs doesn't. Little bit of transfer occurs, but not that much. Illa sir, this is they are trying to figure it out right now. Okay, how did they start figuring it out? When I said the mother's genes comes in, mother's bacteria, then what happened is they started trying to analyze what kind of bacteria are there in our body. So they took lesbians, because lesbians, I believe, changes partner more often than the men, gay fellows. So it was a very good example where a sample to test. So if a girl is with one girl, they swapped the vagina and colonized the bacteria. When they swapped another partner, then colonized the same thing. And they found that when these two people are together, they are almost similar bacteria. When they swap, one is different from the other one. There is a difference. That's why I experimented this with children. What happens is children used to come to clinic saying that the child has got behavioral problem. He's becoming violent, he's not studying, he's beating up other boys, he's hyperactive. So they expect medicine to cure them. Okay? So there is one drug called Ritalin which we used to give, but nothing but dextroamphetamine. It's a mood suppressor. That used to calm them, but they were not cured. It's a symptomatic treatment. Then I suggested the parents, couple of parents who are nice, I said, look, let's experiment one thing. Your son is in the school, but in the school there are kids who are very intelligent. Okay? They're very intelligent, they go study, they do violin, really, you want your son to be like that. So what you do is, invite those parents to your house for dinner. Make friends with them. And when you make friends with them, the boys also come to your house. Your son will mix with this boy, whether he likes it or not. So repeatedly, if you are entertaining them, repeatedly he gets bacteria from that boy into this boy. See whether the behavior changes. And it did. There's another friend of mine who was having a lot of problem with the family because he was drinking alcohol every evening. His wife was against it. These Indian women are always drink means finished. So he was really suffering. He's 74 years old and he suffered for about 20 years. He said, I can't even sleep properly these days because the nagging is too much. I said, be like me, swap the wife. But he is not. He's not that strong to say. I said, look, you have to tell your wife, you can't live with me, I can't cope with you. So let's start life in a different way. Because I don't want to hear live and suffer every day. So then I told him, this is not the way you do it. What you should do is, you're not sleeping well, okay? All these problems. So what whiskey do you drink? He told me, any whiskey is okay. Every day I need it. I said, okay, try to go on to wine. He said, I can't do it. I'm so used to this. And he enjoys it. I said, okay, stick to one brand. He said, why? I said, I want to see what happens. 3 weeks later, he called me. I've never slept so well in my life until now. So you are my guru. Every evening he calls me. I'm not joking, for the past 3 years. He thinks I'm his guru. So I said, that's interesting, isn't it? Then he asked me to explain it. I said, yes. Your bacteria are used to certain kinds of yeast. because alcohol is made up of yeast. They are friends, they are happy. They talk to one another, they're okay. But new kind of whiskey is done with a different yeast. So that yeast and this bacteria are not friendly, they're fighting with one another. So they're producing more gas. And the gas bloats up, your mind is completely cuckooed, you can't sleep, you're getting all this tension. Yeah? But just changing that little thingy. Because I understand bacteria well. You see, I have observed them so much. I can change everything by just changing the bacteria. So, is there any question now? Sorry, I've been rattling around. So, tell me, is there any question which may come into your mind?
We are more or less happy to listen you that it is nothing but good experience to
How
us.
much experience you have got by
Yeah,
noticing
40
all
years,
this.
I have not taken care of my family. I have not taken care of my money. I have not taken care of anything about myself.
Okay, doctor.
Dedicated to
We
this.
have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And regarding your thing, what I felt after listening to you, ignorance is bliss.
Absolutely. That's why I am mad. Because I have so much knowledge. What do you think? 60, 80 years old, I'm just going around the country telling people this is not the way to do it.
Yeah.
Who has the guts and the patience to do it? You tell me.
Because we were so happy sitting here, talking to people, going around, because we didn't have this knowledge of what you expressed now.
Yes. This
So
is
now
the
we are
truth.
start scared. We are scared. So that is why.
No, scared is not what I expect you to have. Do you know why? Hinduism says, if you want to live happily and die happily, the one and the only thing you have to conquer is fear.
Correct.
The child comes out of the uterus, you should see the fear in the face. You have to be the one who picked the baby and the baby opens the eyes. And I had the I was fortunate enough to see this fear in the baby. If the baby doesn't cry, I used to give one smack on the bottom and they breathe. Everything is okay in 1980s. 1990s, no, you can't beat. It's NAI, non-accidental injury. So what will happen? I can't beat them. So if they don't breathe, I have to give push oxygen. Yeah? If you give too much oxygen, the baby won't breathe. Why? Because
It is not.
it's not stimulated. If you get carbon dioxide, only then you start gasping. You close your nose, then you start breathing faster. Because you're deprived of oxygen. ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದೆ ಹಸಿವೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಮಲಗೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Then I have to put a ventilator. ವೆಂಟಿಲೇಟರ್ ಹಾಕಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಇನ್ಫೆಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಹೋಯ್ತು ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಯಿತು ಎಲ್ಲ ದಾರಿ. ಒಂದು ಚಪ್ಪಾಳೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಬದುಕಿರೋದು. And we are overcrowded, we have too many. Yeah, they are giving too many people vaccine, using ventilation. ಇವಾಗ ಕೋವಿಡ್ಗೆ ಹೋದರೆ ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು. ಅದು ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟು ಇಲ್ಲ, ಒಂದು ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಟಿಕ್ ಅಂತ ಹಾಕೋದು. Yeah, they haven't understood that tick is a bloody nightmare. When your oxygen is gone down, your circulation will also be altered. Yeah? And the hemoglobin is trying to take more oxygen. Instead of taking 2 molecules of oxygen, it takes 4 molecules of oxygen circulating like nobody's business. So, but the carbon dioxide doesn't come out because they're not breathing. So carbon dioxide builds up. But the oxygen saturation is okay because they're carrying too much oxygen. Oxygen saturation is okay, no problem. ಅವನು ಸಾಯ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನಲ್ಲಿ ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಮೀಟರ್ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಜನ ಪೇಷಂಟ್ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ.
Correct.
ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಸಡನ್ ಆಗಿ ಅವನು ಅಲ್ಲ ಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರು ಹಾಕ್ತಾರೆ ವೆಂಟಿಲೇಟರಲ್ಲಿ. ವೆಂಟಿಲೇಟರ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಯೂಶಲಿ ಯು ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಟೇಕ್ ದೆಮ್ ಔಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಅರ್ಲಿಯರ್ ದೆನ್ 3 to 4 days. ಸ್ಟೆರಾಯ್ಡ್ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಡೋದು. ಸ್ಟೆರಾಯ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಗುಡ್. ಸ್ಟೆರಾಯ್ಡ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಾಗಿಲು ಹಾಕಿದೆ, ಬಾಗಿಲು ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಒಬ್ಬ ಗಾರ್ಡ್ ನಿಂತಿದ್ದಾನೆ, ಯಾರು ಬರದೇ ಇರೋಂಗೆ. ಓಕೆ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಥಿಂಗ್. ಯುವರ್ ಬಾಡಿ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಗಾಟ್ ದಟ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಎ ಡಿಫೆನ್ಸ್ ವಿಚ್ ಯು ಕಾಲ್ ಆಸ್ immunity. Immunity is a subject which not any doctor or professor knows exactly what it is. They all talk immunity, boosting immunity. They don't know what immunity is. I have tried to figure it out, but how it works we don't know. So guard steroids ಕೊಟ್ಟ ತಕ್ಷಣ it is non-anti, that's an inflammatory reaction. ಬಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಅದು ಸಂಡೆ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಬರ್ತೀಯ ಓದಿತೀನಿ ಅಂತ. So then the inflammation comes up because the war is going on between the germs and the body defense mechanism. So guard, fear ಬಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಈ ಗಾರ್ಡ್ ಇರ್ತಾನಲ್ಲ ಅವನು he is suppressed, ಕೈ ಕಟ್ಟಾಕ್ತಾರೆ. It is anti-inflammatory. Okay, inflammation is a reaction to an insult. Disease Allah. Inflammation is a reaction to insult. I will slap your cheek and you get inflamed. There is no bugs. Everybody says infection. You ask 100 doctors, 99 will say inflammation. Oh, infection. Infection is different from inflammation. Okay, inflammation, one of the causes is infection. Kapala kodade bantu. Mogu alutte kirchutte. Adu kirchbekara is inflamed. Body metabolic rate has gone up, heart rate has gone up, breathing is fast, the whole body is inflamed. You are walking in the street, or the girl walks on the street, she looks at a boy, says, oh, he's hot. Yeah, he's hot. Why? She is inflamed. She gets inflamed. Low. Yeah? Everything in our body is an inflammation. So, inflammation suppression madidre, you are in trouble. So, that's why you have to be very careful how you deal with every illness, including cancer, because that's also an inflammation. We have to just learn how to manage inflammations. And inflammation, as I said, is a reaction to an insult. Okay? So until now you have understood the difference between bacteria, because this is a basic thing you have to know if we decide to move forward. Because once I finish this, I'll be telling you how we do the next stage, move forward. Because we have to be very careful how we deal with this. If I go around blabbering this everywhere in the doctors' community, they will not appreciate this. They will criticize me, because I have tried it here in Fortis Hospital. When I talked about infection with Sridharanta, America, we came in. When I was talking about infection spreading, this was about 10 years ago, there was a professor who stood up and he said, no, that's not okay. You have to do the umbilicus like this. You have to do like this. I was thinking, what the hell is, which country does he come from? He's a professor. He's a very famous professor. His name is there on the newspaper all the time. He doesn't have the basic knowledge. But everybody listens to him.
Correct.
Because he is a big professor, comes in a big Mercedes car. Who am I? Hey, this little fellow who comes with the neat little shorts, he doesn't know anything. And if I tell them, oh, it's all there in England, we don't have that problem here. You can't. So we need to know.
You said the professor, I think you might have heard of one doctor.
Ayyo, gottu sir, nange channagi gottu. Manipal, I know.
What about your opinion on his talk?
It's synonymous to.
He talks, a little bit like me, but he didn't start as early as me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not into
But what he talks
publicity
is
work.
proper?
He talks, some are okay, some are all bullshit. Yeah, but he doesn't talk about Hindu culture and Hindu festivals associated with health. Why do you put Tulsi in front of your house? Why do we have Varama Lakshmi Ruta? Why do you celebrate the Deepavali? Why do you have a Navaratri? Everything has got medical reasons behind it, which are over the years you will get to know what it is. Yeah. So there are things in India which have been told, but it has not been interpreted properly. Because there are people who talk about the Vedas, but there are not people who are medically experimentable. Like, I had a golden opportunity to experiment. Not everybody gets this opportunity. So I had an opportunity to experiment, see, why should a person be doing Gayatri Japa? Why is that our ancestors said only men should do Gayatri Japa, not the women? Women were not supposed to do Gayatri Japa. Do you know that?
Yes.
In Upanayanam, when they tell it in the ears. Why? There is a reason behind everything in. Yeah? People come and tell me, oh, Bhagavad Gita says so. You look at it in a nice, different way, it means completely different.
Correct, doctor, but over the generation, it got corrupted.
That's right.
Got mutilated.
Majority of people say, my father also when he came to England, I said, Solpa hotel anna thinne, illa. I said, look, it's a bit of a problem. Switzerland, I can't get what you want, but why don't you? Illa. 70 ವರ್ಷ ನಾನು ಹಿಂಗೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ನಾನು ಇವಾಗ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ. That is the problem. We have to just change. We must learn to disown the old fashion and look at it in a different angle. But how do you make people do that? Because now we have been told, scientifically, do you know how scientific research is done? I take 100 people, I collect data, and in that there is 1 or 2 which skews the result. In other words, I've given treatment for 100 people, same drug, same thing, and then I find that it is not statistically significant. It doesn't show that it is good. So I remove 2-3 patients out there who was skewing the result. I take them out. Nobody is there to check whether that is right or wrong. Nobody is going to ask. Nobody knows. Then I say, oh, we sent questionnaires to 100 people. In that, only 87 people responded. Even 100 people have responded, but I've just thrown the 20 into the dustbin. In that 87 people, so much, statistically it becomes significant. Then I publish. Oh, he's a great scientist. Actually, it's wrong. That's what has happened. The protocols which we have developed, I was part of it. 90s, 80s nalli, we didn't have a standardized treatment. One person comes with urine infection. I gave him trimethoprim. Next one came in, I gave amoxicillin. Next one I came in, I gave him something else.
Person to person changes, like your fingerprint.
No, yeah. My habit is I think tetracycline is the best, so everybody gets tetracycline. Next for the things, amoxicillin is the best drug, he gives everybody amoxicillin. So when we have 7 SHOs, every night there's a different doctor. So each doctor does his own things. So I am there in the morning to ask, why did you give trimethoprim to this patient? So he says, this is the reason. So then I said, we'll look into our studies. So I said, one afternoon we sit, you bring all the urine infections in the last month, because we have record systems there, we could pick up the notes. Then we say, out of 20 patients we have here, how many people got tetracycline, this thing, trimethoprim? Oh, 3. How many had this? We collected the statistics. Oh, was the urine checked? Yes, in 60%. Was the urine checked and the results acted upon? The urine is positive, but nobody has seen the result. So we started monitoring ourselves. The government took out these results from everybody, and they compiled the statistics of everybody all over England. And they came out with a result saying that 80% of the people with urine infection responded to trimethoprim. So the standard treatment is trimethoprim. Okay? And they called it evidence-based medicine. So as a layperson, you will think evidence means it has been stamped. Algorithm, that's it. If you go straight, right, left, you land up in bus station. That is algorithm, 100%. This is not like that. You go like this, suddenly something happens, you go that way. So you might have another infection which is not working in trimethoprim. So in 3 or 4 days' time, you land up in serious complication and you get kidney infection, you kidney failure, and you die. What will the doctor do? He says, I have given the treatment according to the protocol. It is evidence-based medicine, so it must be 100% correct. Judge, oh yeah, he is giving the right treatment, so you are not okay. So these doctors are literally killing patients and licensed to kill. James Bonds of UK. Nobody can prosecute them, okay? Because they'll show this evidence-based medicine. The other thing is, even if I know that it doesn't work, I cannot do anything. Because if I don't give the treatment they suggested, they're going to crucify me. They'll find fault. They say, no, this fellow is bad. Come, inquiry. They will drive you mad. They did it for me. They made the nurses complain against me, they read this, and they sent me to the psychiatrist to see whether I'm mad. I told them, no, I'm not mad, I'm not depressed. But when I go and see these nurses who are complaining against me, my blood starts boiling and I get anxious. And a woman, they said, oh, you are asking the women to undress to examine their chest. If a medical student is not undressing to examine the chest, we will fail him. Because if you put it on the clothes, you get clothes crumbs coming in. If you undress it, it's different. I had to ask a girl to undress because she was speaking like a man. She was shaking like this. I said, oh, this is a disaster. Either she has thyroid problem or she has something else going on. What did the nurses do? They sent that patient to a speech therapist. That was 18 years old girl, beautiful girl with lots of makeup. So I told the mother I need to examine this girl. So when I undressed her, she undressed and she was lying down. I looked like this. And then when I was examining, her breast popped up because she had put such a tight bra because she was completely she had a big bust. So I have a stethoscope. I usually don't touch the bottom of that breast because these fat ones, when there's a lot of ulcers there because of the this thing, the sweat there and the fungus grows there, and it's very smelly as well. So I usually had a long stethoscope and I used to touch like this. When I put it in, it popped up, and I almost bursted out laughing. But I had controlled myself. Why? Because she had shaved her breast like this, but on the nipple she couldn't shave because it's on. So she'd cut it like that. So it looked like a press. Like you heard of James Bond, there's a girl called Halle Berry who had a hair stuck up like that.
Correct.
It looked like that. Whoo! But I had to control myself. And then these nurses told, this fellow upset her because she's very upset. 6 months later, to find fault in me, he undresses everybody. And the girl is written, all the doctors and nurses who saw me never undressed me and examined me with the clothes on. That's why they all missed the hair in the bloody breast. You can't see any hair here, but when you open it, you can see easily brittles. And I sent her to the, the hormonal therapy people, because she has got testosterone increased. I don't know what happened to her. But it put me in a lot of serious stress. Why? Because next woman he came in, I got chest infection, doctor, can you examine my chest? I am shaking like this. If I open her chest, bloody hell, this woman is going to complain. What do I do? See, doctors are not idiots. Oh yeah, put the stethoscope here. I can't really make out what's wrong with you. I'll send you for an X-ray. She doesn't need an X-ray. So what happens? That patient is spending another 3 days or 4 days to get the X-ray and come back before I give her a treatment. I'm not going to treat her because I can't write it in the notes. I examine the chest, there is scraps here or anything. Okay? So 3 days she might be dead also in 3 days because the pneumonia hits hard, she'll be dead. But I am safe. That's what the doctors are doing right now. They are just following the protocols. And whose life is at risk? Not theirs, yours. Today you may not, but tomorrow you will be. You must stop that kind of a approach. And honestly, when I went to England, I used to stand like that and talk to the patient. The patients are sick, dying. And the nurses said, Sri, you are not empathetic. I said, what do you mean by empathetic? Here, we don't go and cuddle the patient. John, how are you? You are all right. We don't do that. We don't touch these women. I am a Brahmin. And I've been told, keep your head down when you talk to a woman. Don't even look at their eyes. That is how I was trained as a child. So when I go to these white women, first they are white, and then, in a way, I am really nervous. I'm standing there, telling them, I'm sorry, your child is very sick. The nurse said, this is ridiculous. This fellow is empathetic. Then I said, what can I do? I've been brought up like that. So those days, 1980s, the nurses were very nice. They said, Sri, we're going to train you. So every day when I went to the work, all the nurses come and cuddle me, one after the other. So that for me, breast pressing on my chest was uncomfortable. So I got used to it. No problem, everybody cuddling me. And now, 40 years later, the nurses are telling me I'm undressing to sweep the boobs. No, I am not. Every day, school examinations, I see hundreds of people naked. I'm not going to get tempted. When I'm working as a doctor, I'm in a different world. I'm not looking at them the way people imagine. And I have been penalized for that. Why? Because I'm standing up for myself. And that is the problem. Not everybody will have the guts to stand up against them, like me. They are all doing the same thing. And the whole system is going to collapse. Only way we can do is use the power of people to make them change. I cannot change the doctors. I am not joking. I finished 1999, I got fed up of seeing people dying in the hospital. All because the nurses haven't done well. And when I started complaining, I became a troublemaker. Yeah? They say, Sri comes here, you got to be very careful because he's observing all the time. Yeah? They're like this because I catch them. Hey? So, they were creating havoc for me. So I said, forget it. I didn't have children, I was not married, I was happy. I said, forget it. I'll become a little GP, work for 2-3 years, collect some money and go back to India and enjoy myself. I'm not going to work. I was earning a lot of money, okay? Not pittance. If I saved all that, I would have probably had a palace over here. But I was not chasing money. So then, at that time, what happened is when I became a GP, you don't get a regular job straight away. You have to work temporarily in different clinics. Until then, I was only exposed to intensive care, where I used to go and see what the doctor has written, catch him what mistake he has done, and rectify it. Because if he has given amoxicillin to a patient with something which is not right, then I would tell him, look, that's not the right antibiotic, take it off, put this one now. So they were learning from me why I gave them the reason, like I'm telling you. I gave them the reason why amoxicillin should be given, not penicillin, why this should be given, everything I gave them the reason. So they learned from that. So what happened when I became a general practitioner, I had to go to see a patient, their patients. He is away, so I'm seeing all the patients in the morning 10, evening 10. These patients, most of them, when a doctor like me goes there as a locum, they are sick and tired of their own doctor. Because the doctor hasn't listened, he hasn't done the treatment they expected, or he has given the wrong treatment, they're not getting better. So they usually, as soon as a locum comes in, they rush in, because it's a different doctor. Because second opinion is very difficult in England. You can't go to different doctors. Locum is the only opportunity. They get a different doctor. So they came. What is your problem? Because before they came in, I used to read the notes written by the regular doctor. And I am a fellow who picks up only mistakes. I've done it for 30 years. So the minute I read the notes, I know this fellow has done a mistake, that previous doctor. I can't tell the patient that, because ethically we are not allowed to instigate a litigation. I should speak to the doctor and tell him, hey, you have given this, that's what the patient is sick. How are you going to rectify it? I didn't tell the patient, but you have done a mistake now. What are you going to do? Then he has to explain, otherwise I'll report to the General Medical Council, this doctor is doing dodgy business here. So when I looked at it, and I found lots of mistakes. There were doctors who had written, chest clear for the past 20 years. When he came in, I asked him, okay, you saw previous doctor, what did he do? Oh, nothing, doctor. As soon as, before I came into the room, he was already writing the prescription. Did he examine your chest? No, doctor. I don't remember him examining the chest. I said, okay, let me listen to your chest. Go and shake in the chest. I put the stethoscope. His heart is not on the left side, it's on the right side. That's called cytosine. This is one of them. Yeah? There are so many mistakes like this I started seeing. So in other words, family doctors are making serious mistakes. They are the ones who you encounter first. So if he is in this junction and he gives you a wrong direction, that way is Jayanagar, that way is Basungudi is that way, you will end up in Banergada Road and be totally lost. That is the main person I'm talking about, because they are family practitioners. For sometimes you will say, oh, he is very good, he was treating my father, my grandfather, everybody, my family, everybody. You trust him. But he is a bloody useless fellow. You don't see it. I see it. Okay? In England, I had the opportunity to go through the notes. How many doctors in Karnataka are assessed by doctors like me? If you start a clinic over here, is there any way another doctor can go and see what he is doing? No. For last 10 years, he is giving me the same medicine, same treatment, same things, and that's it. Evening he goes, enjoys his beer or whatever it is, having a party. Made a lot of money, he takes a car and goes on a holiday. He is not going to change. No matter who comes in, he is not going to change, because his life is comfortable. So who is going to be in trouble? You. All of us, including me. So we have to think, how are we going to change the mindset of these Indian doctors? English doctors I tried, but there is a huge lobby. Yeah, they will not allow me to change them. I went to the health minister. I've written to all the prime ministers since Tony Blair. I have replies. Every person I wrote, I sent them copies of that book. Every president in the world and prime ministers got the first copy. 100 books came to me. 100 books I sent it by post from here to every prime minister, president, warning them about pandemics. In 2017, I've written an article explaining what's going to happen in the next 20 years. It's not nice. It's very scary. But they didn't care, because they think The ego doesn't allow them. They think we can find the antibiotics. We have landed up in the moon. We have gone to Mars. Bloody idiots went to Mars and brought the germs from there. Went to moon, brought the germs. Send the germs from here, reorganized them, brought it back.
Very true. No doubt on it. Correct.
Okay? When they presented this in 1990s, I was shocked because the NASA did an experiment. They sent a bacteria called Salmonella typhimurium from Stanford University in America. They kept one here, breed in the space lab. 3 weeks later, they brought that specimen and compared with this. Salmonella typhimurium is a small bacteria like typhoid bacteria, but it is so stupid it doesn't infect anybody. It is usually present in baby food. The ones which came back, within 5 seconds, killed all the mouse. Fertilized egg. As soon as the sperm goes into the egg and fertilization occurs, the cells have to start multiplying. Okay? When I look at, if you go to any of these IVF clinics, you will have a big thingy where they put that and they observe. Some of them, as soon as they put it, it multiplies. Some of them, when put it, it's just standing there, doing nothing for about 2 to 3 seconds or maybe 5 seconds. It doesn't multiply. Then I realized what the problem is. People say, Atma. Atma sounds like atom. We have one atom in our body called Atma. What is that? That is a molecule of a gas coming from the solar. Because solar flare came in and Earth was a ball of gas. So each molecule in that is an Atma. When it's solidified, these Atmas, they are like superpower batteries. So when the overhands joins, this Atma gets inside. As soon as the Atma gets inside, it increases, people say, energy. Oh, if you think too much, you burn too much energy. I ask them a simple question, what is energy? Not many people know. Energy is nothing but heat. Heat is the source of everything. So this thing goes in, heat, tuck, 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 multiplies. That Atma stays till you die. How do I know that? I had to declare death. Declare death means everybody is pumping, everything, gas going on, injections, drips, monitors, ting going on. But I can't do everything. I'm just observing the child and the monitors and dictating what to do, what chemical to give, because there is no standard chemicals. There is bicarbonate, there is calcium, there is magnesium, there is sulfur, potassium. You see, these chemicals I play with. So I used to hold the hand like this, and then as if I'm counting the pulse. But actually I'm not counting the pulse because I don't have to. The ECG monitor tells me how much is the pulse. So I'm holding the hand. I'm observing the body temperature. I'm just holding it, it's warm. So when the warmth is there and the ECG is going on, fine. I'll give bicarbonate, let's see what happens. Or the ECG is stopped. But the body is warm. So I continue resuscitation until the hand becomes cold. Sometimes I have noticed that the ECG has stopped, everything is stopped, the baby is not breathing or child is not breathing, but the hand is still warm. Then I said, Atma has not left the body yet, that's why the body is still warm. So then I say, give this. And then the child wakes up. Nurses, you create miracles. Oh yeah, I do. I'm a magician. But actually they didn't know. If I tell them that this warmth is what I'm looking at, they think I'm a stupid fellow. Okay? I am not going to educate them. So they can't even understand that. And they did literally tell that he creates magic. And there was recently a girl who was born 30 years ago, everybody had declared death. The father, 3 years later, wrote a letter to me. Your belief is so great that you are a gift. And she is 30 years old now. She desperately tried to find me and found me because she wanted me to go to her wedding. This kind of a child, I've seen only 3. This is the only one which lived. All other 2 died. But that's how it is. It is all because the temperature. But you can't educate this to people.
Without realizing this, if they declare that person is dead and they buried or whatever, is there anything to do with that Jesus? getting up after 2 days, 3 days as a Easter.
That's why in England till 1970s they used to have this called ringer mortis. So what happened is when the patients are buried in this coffin, they used to keep a string inside with a bell outside. So if this fellow inside wakes up, he can pull the bell. Yeah, that is true. But the other thing is in Russia they keep people in. They don't bury or burn or do anything for 10 days. There is a very, very good thing because what happens is death is very difficult to declare because now it has become more complicated because of heart transplants and lung transplant, organ harvesting. So when I declare death, that means to say they can harvest the thingy. But now they are trying to find out when they can say this patient is dead. So they do ECGs, all this nonsense, which doesn't. All that they need to do is this thing. So the Atma has left the body, the temperature drops, no matter what the ECG is showing still. Because what happens is when you do the muscle contraction thingy, when you stop giving the chemical, still the muscle is contracting because the cycle is already gone in. Like when you take a plug sometimes, the bulb is still burning. So there is a little lag time between the using, yeah? Same way the heart also this works. So it's a correct electrical impulses which make the heart work as the body functions. So it is all depending upon the temperature and the energy. So when the babies are multiplies and the baby becomes. Same way, what is that I want to tell you was that's why in India when they do when somebody dies, this also you see the body they say you have to give Ganges water. Yeah? People think you go to heaven. It wasn't. It was done by a scientific reason. Ganges has one of the biggest colonies of bacteriophages. It's a virus which actually thrives on bacteria. And when they throw the dead body into that half heated, half burnt, we are covered with bacteria. There is a big ball, like 2 meters of bacteria all around, bacteria and viruses. They are going like a arrow, like Krishna going with this thingy. Like that we are walking in the middle. Just can you imagine that? So these viruses, bacteria get into the water, these viruses will come and attack them. This bacteriophage only grows in Ganges water. It can't be growing in Thames or anywhere. They've tried for hundreds of years. Now the Americans, everybody is doing research on that. Russians have tried it for 100 years and they haven't succeeded. There are lots of theories. It comes from the Himalayas. It happens this. But whatever it is, these viruses are surviving because of the dead bodies. In other words, now I believe they can't put bodies in it. Now when I went to Varanasi, I dipped in, they said, oh doctor, you can't jump here. Why? See, they're putting the dead body. I said, it's the most beautiful place to jump in. Because they're full of viruses there and they will come into me and they will kill all the bad germs in my body. I know that, but people don't know. And that's what these viruses used to attack the bacteria. Then what happened was, why did I go into that one?
The Ganges need
Ganges water, they put it into the stomach. They give it. They didn't give it because of going to heaven. If you keep the dead body in about 10 minutes, the stomach will bloat, body will start bloating. If you put that, the virus kills the germs in the stomach, the tummy doesn't bloat up.
No, doctor. Sorry, I didn't follow.
See, the stomach nale, when you die, satotaka, bacteria hotanale irutte. When you born, it goes in and they are there. So virus is present in this Ganges water. If you keep it they keep on copper vessel sealed in the house, yeah, it never gets spoiled because no bacteria will grow inside. Because viruses are, I said, dead animals. They are not alive. They have to get into some cell to multiply. So they are sitting in that happily without multiplication, but they are there. So when you put it into the stomach, these viruses go in, they find the bacteria. They'll kill the bacteria. So the bacteria are not there to produce gas. Got it? So we have the knowledge, we have the methods, we have the tools to protect ourselves. Our body is full of chemicals to protect your body. The only time it will not work Because you do not believe you have the power. When you get fear, cortisol goes up, kills the fighting pressure, you get infection. Okay? So when you think of worrying about cancer all the time, collecting money, oh come on, give money, we are collecting for cancer research. Yeah, cancer research fellows are having a good time. They're making a lot of money. They haven't cured anything. They just say prognosis is good. I asked them what is prognosis. Oh, if they didn't have cancer, they would have lived for 10 years. With cancer, with this treatment, they live for 10 years. How do you know that? Oh, that is statistically. But that is also cooked up. You are spending 300,000 pounds for a drug, expecting to live for 100 years. But they are only saying you are going to live for 5 years. So why should you waste so much money for only 3 months, 6 months? But people don't know. They have been given the wrong information. They have been massaging it, like I told you about evidence-based medicine. To give power to that, do you know what they did? They created an institution. It's called National Institution of Clinical Excellence. The person will think it's an excellent society. It is got the excellent advice.
Nice.
Actually, they're the crooks. They're cheating everybody by giving these names. So, my humble request is help me to take the message across at any cost. I don't even want my name to be recognized. I don't want, because this is a gift to humanity through me. I wish somebody had the opportunity to do this. I didn't even want it. But I am here. So we have to think of how to progress. Have I made everything clear? Because you have to know what is bacteria, you have to know why I am doing this, how all the problems I put it across on the table. Now, how do we move forward? I have an app, I have a website. The app is you can download it in thing and play around and you can understand. It just, as I said, any person who comes to ask me my help always comes with a story. And the story is like the ticket coming into a cinema hall. So you have to buy a freebie pass or buy the ticket. So when you come here, symptom is one ticket, sign is a free pass. So you come there, give the ticket and you come in. So what I am doing is, when you come with a ticket, I'm stopping you there. When I look at the ticket, I say, oh, this is actually infected person, so you can't come in. Why? Because there are patients in the hospital, there are doctors in the hospital, there are nurses in the hospital, there are children in the hospital. They will get infected. And if you get infected, not only infected, when they come in, they colonize every place. The bacteria fall down from my skin and they will multiply in the carpet, or this thing, wall, everywhere. And everywhere they're cleaning it. As I said, the more you clean the hospitals, more dangerous occurs. This is not only saying, if you go to my American interest, there is a podcast broadcasted in America in the radio for in 2014. I said it is safer to be treated in a dirty hospital than a hyper clean one, because when you put chemicals, you're killing all the good germs. There are 6 terrorists running around in the town center. We want to catch them and kill them, but we can't. So somebody gets an idea, we put a little bomb onto it. Who is going to be dead? All the people except those 6 terrorists.
Yes.
And the 6 terrorists are so smart, they're multiplying like rabbits. Every 20 minutes, they're becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. The population is increased. India right now has accepted that there is a 10% increase in superbugs in hospitals now. Yeah, all over the world, everybody is saying 15%. America is saying 25% increase. India thinks they have less. How nice. I mean, you see anywhere garbages, people are urinating on that place. And what happens is, written in this book, when antibiotic treatment, they say you have to take it for 5 days. You have to take it for 7 days. You have to take it for 21 days. Okay. If the infection doesn't get better, they increase it to 14 days. They increase the dose also. Yeah? But when I looked at it, I said, why should they give for 5 days? Why? Who decided 5 days, 7 days, 15 days, 14 days treatment? What is the reason? Have they done any studies?
Pharmaceutical.
Zilch.
Money.
Zilch. No study. So then I looked at the pharmacology. How does antibiotic work? Antibiotics, when you give the first dose, the level comes up to here. The second dose, before it comes down, because it lasts for about 6 hours. So it goes up, 3 hours, it starts coming down. Before it comes down 4 hours, then we give you another dose. So the level is here. When you give this, it saturates, it goes up further. Then it comes down. Here I give. That's called half-life, before it's half. Then it goes up. This peak is necessary, the highest level. So 3 doses, when the highest level is there, the bacteria multiply every 20 minutes. So the bacteria are multiplying, they're already dead. There are only few bacteria there, they're multiplying, the second dose will kill them. Third dose. 3 doses is finished, all the bacteria which are causing the infection is dead. After that, you are loaded with antibiotics. Body can't keep the antibiotics. What can it do? There is no bacteria to kill. It starts coming out in the urine and your poo. So you wee in the street, you're weaving antibiotic with urine all over the place. So you're killing all the good germs and creating superbugs. You poo, your receiver system is full of these germs. So these antibiotic, then they kill all the good germs and the bad germs are multiplying. That is the problem with the hospitals. The bacteria are colonized in the sewer system. There are articles now, newspaper everywhere, detergents, antiseptics, sanitizers should be banned. In America, FDA has already banned labeling soaps, antibiotic soap, antibacterial soap. You cannot label it because there is nothing like that. They are all mild, they cause more problem than good. Okay, they banned it. In India, you get everything. In the board everywhere, they put and do it. Nobody is asking. But if you don't stop all this, we are in trouble. So as I said, you come to the gate, you show the ticket, you come in. So if you're infection, please don't come in, get out. I am not here to save these people. We cannot save them. But we can save the people who trust us and believe what we are saying is right. Yeah? If they have to die, they will die because they have been chosen by the God to be eliminated because they are not the right fit. As I told you, the behavior changes because of the germs in your body. Okay? So if you are a crook or a criminal or a darodekara or you're a lanchakora, you think differently. Why? Because your bacteria in your body is different. It's a crook bacteria. It makes you think, oh, ಎಷ್ಟು ಲಂಚ ಕೊಡೋದು. Because not everybody can do that.
Yeah,
Really.
true.
So God finds out who is the crook and he say, hey, COVID, go and attack that fellow. Because they can get into your body and identify you.
Okay, doctor, with the same theory, can you not use some bacteria to treat those fellows taking
Sir, we are on a holiday. Yeah, you got a label here. I will live for 85 years. That's a holiday God has given you.
Okay.
You don't have a chance. You have to die. See, every spring you see some new worms coming out, new plants coming out. And as the spring is over, summer comes in, they die. The law of nature is there is a life cycle.
Balancing it.
Everybody has to live the day they're given. You go on a holiday to America for 3 weeks. You like it very much. You want to stay for another 6 weeks. They'll throw you out. But you'll do everything possible to stay there. That's what's happening in human life. We are born, we're enjoying ourselves. You're healthy. Oh, I'm not healthy. Now my heart is going off. I want a heart transplant. Kill somebody else, get his heart. That's happening right now. Yeah? Put it down. So, that's not law. That's not acceptable. Your holiday is finished, you get out. You can't extend your holiday. Okay, you want to extend it. How long? Maybe 2 weeks. Why? Because you have a reason. Oh, I want to see my daughter getting married before I die. Then I will help you. Stay for 2 weeks and get out. That is the problem. The people haven't understood that there is a reason why we should be born and dead. So, I am not here to save anybody. I am here to protect people who will be unnecessarily infected and their life is going to cut short. So, you are designed to stay for another 10 years, but if you encounter this infection, you will be dead in 2 years. So I am educating you so that you are not going to be cutting short your holidays. I'm not helping you to extend your holiday.
Short your holidays.
Got it?
Don't cut short.
Yeah, you must. Why should a child get a COVID infection before it is probably even seen what crawling is like? So that child should get the opportunity to live and experience life. So we should help those people. And the crook people will definitely get infected. So the people who think they are like, speaking and fighting in the television, I am Siddharamaya, this is Yedurappa, that is this fellow. Bloody hell, what are they doing, man? They are not useful for anybody, including themselves. They are living here. ನಮ್ಮ ಅಮ್ಮ ಹೇಳೋರು ಅನ್ನದಂಡ ನೀರ್ದಂಡ ಭೂಮಿಗೆ ಭಾರ. We should not be. You have to live and enjoy your life. You should know how to talk to people, how nice to you. That I was going to a shop there, sometimes I get so bored, I just feel like I have a cigarette. So I go there. And yesterday he was asking me, Saab, where do you come from? I said, I'm from here. He said, no, you different. I said, yeah, I lived in another country. Kya kar raha hai, Saab? I said, I used to work as a doctor. Oh, and he started talking. And then he wanted to know what I was doing. So I told him what I'm doing. Swami. He said, they are big doctors. I said, yeah. Oh, you must go and meet them. I said, for what? If I go and meet them, first thing is, can you sponsor me to go to England and work there? He said, hey, bugger off, man, I'm not interested. So that's all they are interested. You see, this fellow said, he can't believe that you've done all these things. I said, no, I've done it like you are doing the shop. You have put up the shop, you're bringing the pan bida and doing all. Your job is yours. This is what I did. Sometimes people in Indians used to come and see me perform some procedure and they said, oh, because India is like pumping up, oh, Dr. Shri, so nice to see you. I'm so fortunate. Let's look at them. Hey, wait a minute, man. If a chimpanzee was sitting and doing what I was doing for 30 years, probably chimpanzee would have been better. I've not done anything extra, okay? I'm just a human being like you. The only thing is I had more inquisitive mind, so I looked around. I didn't sit and do the same thing again and again and without. Yeah? So now we have to find a way to make these Indian doctors accept this. I try to, how I can. So this is my new concept, okay? There are symptoms, a list. I have color-coded them. Red, yellow, green. If it is red, you must see a doctor. There is a reason behind it, examining or doing tests or referring or whatever it is. Like if you say, I've got serious chest pain, I will never dismiss it off. I say, please come, I have to look at you because I have to examine you. If you say, I've got serious chest pain and I am breathless, honestly, I don't want to see you, take an ambulance, go to hospital. Because if he comes to see me, he's wasting half an hour me examining, and in the end I'm going to send him to the hospital anyway.
By the time
Even if I do ECG, I'll still send him to the hospital because I'm not going to take the risk. Yeah. So what I've done is I've color-coded based on the decision.
symptoms?
Yeah? It is very simple, common sense. So there are fever, there are about 5 types of fever. Mild fever, moderate fever, heavy fever. Some people want to check the temperature. It's useless, honestly, because temperature doesn't help me to differentiate anything. So mild temperature, moderate temperature, we give them a reading, which is listed in the computer. So that is the temperature. So if it is high temperature, it is 99.9% viral infection. Why? Because virus can't be killed by heat. Bacteria can't live in heat. So as soon as you get infection, your temperature will go up. As soon as it goes, hey, wait a minute, temperature going, the bacteria will go to the brain and switch off the thermostat. Then you start feeling chilled. Hot and cold, hot and cold, hot and cold. When they say hot and cold, I got sore throat, I say, please come, because I want to give you an antibiotic. There is a reason behind every decision we take. But doctors here don't care. Fever, no problem. You don't even come. It's okay. I'll prescribe in pharmacy. We'll deliver it to you at home. Yeah?
650 crocin and 3/4. By default, it is there.
Yeah. I'll tell you one of these. A chap called Padnab, who was my classmate who passed out.
Okay.
And this fellow had failed so many times. When he passed, he was a nice fellow. I used to like him. He was my classmate. So when he passed, one day he's coming in a Fiat car. 3 months internship. You're not supposed to practice. I looked at him. Hey, Padna, private practice ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀಯಾ? Guru, ನೀನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀಯಾ? You can understand Kannada, isn't it? Guru, ನೀನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಇಲ್ಲ ಕಣ, ನಾನು ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ, I don't do it. Then he said, ಸುಳ್ಳು ಹೇಳ್ತೀಯ and all that. Then I said, how do you make so much money? He said, Guru, because he said, if I ask him, when he talks about trade name, when I ask him what does it contain, he doesn't know. He said, Guru, ಬಂದವ್ರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ 1 cc Navalgine. He says cc, he doesn't even know ml. 1 cc Navalgine, 1 cc Restaclin injection. Restaclin is a horrible drug because it is oil based. Pain ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅಲ್ಲ ಕಣೋ, ಅದು ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ನೋವು ಬರಲ್ವಾ? ಹೌದು ಕಣ, ನೋವು ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಲಿಗ್ನೋಕೇನ್ ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಡು ಅಂದೆ. ಲಿಗ್ನೋಕೇನ್ ಇಸ್ ಆ್ಯನ್ ಲೋಕಲ್ ಅನೆಸ್ಥೆಟಿಕ್. ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್. Then he came down after 3-4 months. I met him again because he's in a different department. Primary, Padmini. Premier Padmini, brand new car. ಪದ್ಮನಾಭ ಏನೋ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? ನನ್ನ ಮಗನೇ, ನೀನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸು? ಯಾಕೆ? ನೀನು ಹೇಳಿದೆ ನೋಡು, 3 ತಿಂಗಳು 4 ತಿಂಗಳಿಂದೆ ನವಾಲ್ಜಿನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟೆ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಪೇಷಂಟ್ ನನಗೆ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ. ಯಾಕೆ? ಡಾಕ್ಟ್ರು ಇಂಜೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ನೋವೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. Understand? That is how medicine is practiced in India. Silly things, nothing scientific, but they thrive on making money. So what we have to do is to re-educate them. We have to tell the patient. So the patient goes to the doctor, he should know what the doctor is going to do. So what we do is, instead of educating them, the website called dr121.com. I've got another domain name called call111.com. That's a very lucrative domain name because England ನಲ್ಲಿ 111 ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಅವರು call111.com, when I bought it, NHS 111 wasn't there. And in number 111 there was not. When they decided that, they couldn't advertise as call 111 because I registered a company called Call 111 Limited. So it's a trade name problem. Okay? So they can't advertise. If you're sick, call 111 is an easy thing to say. But they can't do that. If you are sick, call NHS 111. Now, advertisement. Then I took off that name. Limited company, I just took that, call111.com. Limited. Then they started advertising everywhere. So now you can see call 111. That is the banner everywhere. So call 111 people will remember. So we give this domain name and the doctor 111. I want to change it as call 111. The matter inside also should be changed. And then what we do is, I'll give you the list of all the symptoms, like fever 5, sore throat 5, ella red color, I'll keep that blank color. ಯಾವುದು ಅವರು ರೆಡ್, ಯೆಲ್ಲೋ, ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಅಂತ ಹಾಕಬೇಕು. ಇಲ್ಲದ್ರೆ just red is more than enough. If they just point out, this is the patient I want to see, this is the patient I want to see, this patient I want to see. So it takes about 1 or 2 minutes for them to fill it up because they will know as soon as they read it. And in my database, there are 6 to 7 variations of fever because some people will say, I'm feeling hot and cold, doctor. Some people will say, I've got fever. Some people will say. So when you put in the app, they will put what they think. And that is why it is easy. If they put, I am feeling hot and cold, it will show the hot and cold thingy. It's actually the same notes everywhere. Okay? So to make it easier for them to access information. When you go and look in a book, if you say fever, pyrexia, when you read in pyrexia, you say fever, it will say, please refer pyrexia. Then you have to go on to the pyrexia. Then pyrexia, this is in. So the thing is, if you're going for an information when you are sick, you want it now. You don't have a time to think here, there, look at another page. It has to be spontaneous. So when they say fever, temperature 0.30 to 31 or 34 is the patient I want to see. So we give this kind of a questionnaire to 100 doctors. They will look at it and say, red, this one red. So we validate it. And then we tell the doctors, who you participate in this, we will give you opportunity to make money through England. Okay? We give them everything free. Nothing. You don't have to pay anything. You just answer these questions and we will give you an opportunity to link with doctors in America or England. And number 2, you will be able to earn money also. because we will fix it up in such a way that you will be doing something for them they need, and you will be paid handsomely. 20 pounds per hour, 10 pounds per hour, depending on how much money you want to keep in your pocket. We don't want to keep it in the pocket. We create a trust, and the trust will keep the money. You will be paid, he will be paid, you will be paid, I will be paid. We will all be paid handsomely. We don't want to cut any corners. I want you to be rich running around in a Mercedes Benz, because we don't want you to be running around in a Dakota car. We are doing a service to the United Service. God says, when you do something good, you must enjoy yourself as well. You must take care of yourself. You must love yourself. You must have all the comforts you need. So God has given us this gift. We have to make sure it is implemented. In the return, we will all get the benefit out of it. And after we die, we leave this and it will carry on. So trust is what we create. We have to establish a company. We will establish a company. And we'll go to these people. I have very good contacts with some doctors. I'll pass it on to them and ask them to tick some. So we collect. You will have to see how you can either get a company which will collect questionnaires. I have no idea. You have all those business ideas. So we send a questionnaire like marketing research. So they get the answers. And then we say, if you join, when they give that, we can put their name in the app so that if a person has illness, they can contact. So they become part of our family. When they become part of our family, we will protect them. In other words, this doctor gets infection and he dies. His wife and children are destitutes. Yeah? When he is in the team, this is family. So we will say, my foundation will educate her, or maybe find a job for her, maybe give her a job somewhere, maybe find, because when you are in a power, you can always have contacts. When you have contacts, use that, so that we are protecting the doctor's family who are infected and died. I'm not going to say all sorts of death. I'm saying anybody who gets infected with COVID kind of a thing and dies. When I've asked this question so many times, who is going to take care of the family? No politician has ever answered. There are doctors in India who have died and the families are in real trouble.
Correct.
Nobody has even cared. Nobody is even talking about it. Okay? So we need to provide that. So our service is to protect the doctors. You tell them, look, if you do this for us, we will take you into our family. You will also get patients who will contact. In the database, fever, speak to a doctor, we give his name. People want to talk to them, yeah, you charge them 25 rupees. He wants 50 rupees, we'll put a, payment gateway. If that doctor wants 50 rupees to talk to a patient, fine. Payment gateway, pay 50 rupees. He advertises himself. This Dr. Maya app, doctors can register, they can put their credentials, they can put their thingy, everything is there. But the design has to change. I have to remove all stories about myself, okay? Either you get somebody else who can correct it. I have the portal for that as well. In other words, I can change all the information there and put new information. I don't even have to ask a thing. And when you look at the sites, you can see how it comes, like fever, sore throat. There are little round thingies appearing. You can see it in the internet. I don't have to show that. So each and every, if you want, I can demonstrate later on here on the computer. And I have a portal where I can change that. I can add doctors. I can eliminate doctors. I can take away patients. I can change the introduction page. I can also blog in that. So everything is in it. I need. That's all we have built in. And the symptom list for each and everything. So there are only 9 symptoms. Mine is all common. It is people can understand what I'm talking about. And that is what it is. So when they read what I've written, majority of them say, I've never come across a book like this. I mean, people, doctors as well, they said, gosh, how did you manage to write that? Because I said, I understand the patient's needs. I didn't write just to show how clever I am. I was giving a lecture in Whitefield, Ramanashri Ashram. Mm-hmm. There is an orphanage there for deaf and dumb children, they called it. I stayed there for about a week and I was training these doctors, these deaf people, how to identify deafness in babies. See, the idea is, in India, the most biggest problem of deafness,
ಬಿಗಿನಿಯನ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಲ್ಲ ಯಾಕೆ
ಆ ಮಗು ಇರಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನೋ ಆಗತ್ತೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವ್ರು ಡೆಫ್ ಆಗೋದು. Then they identify only about 2-3 years when the child is, because they wouldn't have expected the child to have that problem. So there was one pediatrician, I think some hospital is a professor and all that. He gave a big lecture. Oh, this thing, kernicterus, this thing, infection, pneumonia. Those poor students, that 14-15 years old girls, are looking at them because they have never heard this word. They are following the lip movement and they think, what the hell is this fellow talking about? They couldn't understand it. Then when I tested, I said, look, this is ridiculous. So then I explained it to them, how it happens. I said, anything goes up, worry. Anything comes down, worry. What are the things which go up? Sodium, salt, sugar. See, they can understand. Temperature, jaundice, yellow color rice goes up. Then you have to worry. Temperature goes up. Then anything goes down. Temperature goes down. Sodium goes down. Potassium goes down. They could understand it. They didn't have, they said, don't use any think. Just do A, B, C, D, E. This has gone up. Test to a hospital. Why? Because they will do special hearing test in these babies. You don't have to see everybody. So that's how it is. You have to educate them to identify. You're talking about anemia. When I went to this health camp, they were doing blood sugar, blood pressure. I asked them, do you standardize these blood tests? What is standardization? Ella white coat hakkondu nintidare. What is standardization? Standardization, after you do 20 times, you have to put a solution inside so that the blood clots are sticking on that, that probe gets dissolved. So that the next blood sugars will be all right. If you continuously do it, everybody is getting low blood sugar because they think it is all covered up. No, they don't think about it. Blood pressure, check martane. Oh, high blood pressure. Then I said, how do you say high? Oh, see. I said, yeah, but you're looking at the first coroscopy sound, not the fifth coroscopy, because the blood pressure in tuck, 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 silent agate. The fourth sound you have to take, that is the standard. Even coroscopy sound andre gothilla, medical doctor. Only he's checking the blood pressure, so he's taking the highest one. So he's told that patient, oh, your blood pressure is high. You see, a normal person becomes a cardiac neurotic patient because of blood pressure. Oh, sattogbirtini. 3 ತಿಂಗಳಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ blood test ಮಾಡೋದು, X-ray ಮಾಡೋದು, ECG ಮಾಡೋದು.
So injected
The whole population is living in fear, but these people are inflecting them because they haven't understood. They are not passing it on properly to these patients. And the pharmaceutical companies are having a cushy time. They're making a lot of money. And we are just losing a lot of money. I mean, no matter. I always said, you want to hold wealth? Yeah? Crores. Yeah, keep it. Who's going to get that money after you die? You will die in the next 2 to 3 years. You keep hoarding, yes? You won't even live to use it. So what's the use of having crores in your bank? And that is what is happening.
They don't think like that, so they are amassing wealth.
ಅದೇ ಸರ್, ಕುದುರೆ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟದು ಬಿಟ್ಟಂಗೆ ಅದು ಹಂಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ವಿನ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ನಾಟ್ ಲುಕ್ಡ್ ಅರೌಂಡ್. ಪೆರಿಫರಲ್ ವಿಷನ್ನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಒಂದೇ ದುಡ್ಡು ಡಾಲರ್ ಹಿಂಗಂದ್ರೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾನೆ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. So that is where, it's a very, very tough job to educate these people. It's not easy. So we have to use the doctors who want recognition. Professor, namaskara sir, ನಾನು ಹೋಗ್ತೀನಿ, salam sir, ನೀವು da ustad. I don't care. We will just bend ourselves. Make them important people. We'll bring them as an advisor to our committee. Okay? ನಾನು 2-3 ಜನ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯವ್ರನ್ನ ಸೇರಿಸ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇದು ಟ್ರಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡಿ. Somebody important. Just go and tell them, look, we need to. Don't even mention my name. We have come out with this idea, this is happening. Standardization doesn't occur. Here doctors ಯಾರು ಮಾನಿಟರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಾವು ಇದನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಇದು ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಇದು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟಿಂದ ದುಡ್ಡು ಬೇಕಾದರೂ ಕೇಳಿ, ನಾನು ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ. ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಲೈಸೆನ್ಸ್ ದ ಹೋಲ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ಲೂಡಿಂಗ್ ಮೈ ಬುಕ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ದ ಟ್ರಸ್ಟ್. ಸೊ ಈ ಬುಕ್ನ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ UK and all that. Indian book costs only 300 rupees. And I paid only 1 lakh rupees for them to produce the book. Yeah? But we can produce that book for about 30,000 rupees. And the book will be only 100 rupees. And I am translating all this into Kannada. I don't have to do the full translation because I've already got the software. English to hakid takshana the Kannada al madutte. I am going to hire a teacher, okay? And if it doesn't, Kannada al madadmele, I am going to be a house as Sai Baba annala, or they are trying to raise money. I will go to them, namaskara, I will give you my book as a donation. All the royalty goes to you. Kannada book, 100 rupai. Yeah? I will give you 100 or 1000 books, free. You give it to all the people, Kannada book, Odi, Kaliri. ನೀವು ಬುಕ್ ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಸಾಯಿಬಾಬಾ ಫೋಟೋ ಹಾಕಿ ಮಾರಿ. Okay? Sai Baba has given you this book to save your life. We have to be smarter. Ashte. Slowly we will make them understand. When somebody reads one of the symptoms in their problem, obesity, ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ ನೋಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ? 4 ಲೈನ್ ಬರ್ದಿದ್ದೀನಿ. Obesity occurs because you don't believe that you are fine. When you are obese, every day you're thinking, I am fat, I have to diet, I have to diet, I have to diet. I ate this much. So guilt. Actually, the subconscious mind says, hey, illa kane, ninen dappa anilla, enilla. Healthy agidiya. So they are happy. I am healthy. They are not bothered about the health. But suppose you start telling yourself, I am the most prettiest person on earth. Your subconscious will tell you the opposite. He'll say, nothing doing, you bloody hell, you're going to have a heart attack. Then the subconscious mind will repair you. I have made 5 women just using the psychology slim. The husband came to fight with me. He said, what are you doing to my wife? I said, why? When I go to the mosque, this Muslim fellows, mosque, everybody is looking at my wife. And I mean, he's like this, she's become like this. The nurses come in, what are you doing to this girl? They went and asked this woman, is she coming to your house? The woman said, why? No, we think, there must be something going on. How did he manage to treat you like this? Hotakichu, in a way. And otherwise, they want to find a fault in me. Saying this fellow is going and chatting them up at home. So, it is all to do with the mindset. Somebody said, you see, Sri Ravi Shankar, I know him when he was not Sri, he was my neighbor and I fancied his sister. So, because I want to see her every day when I was in college, I used to go and sit and talk to him. So, that fellow, why are people following him? What makes them follow him? Because he is using hypnotherapy. Have you heard of hypnotherapy?
Hypnotize.
Hypnotherapy. When you talk to a person, you giving suggestions to your subconscious mind. Okay? Hypnotherapy. Why do I know that? Have you heard of a chap called Richard Bandler? Richard Bandler is the inventor of a system called NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Program. What you have to do is, he writes in the book, Dr. Friend told me, Dr. Friend told me. I used to tell him, he's not a doctor, medical doctor, but now he's recognized all over the world. He has given a testimonial as well. You can also see it in YouTube where I have put that. He tells everything about me. And I know what hypnotherapy is. So when you go there, it's mass. Everybody is ready kind of a thing, accept it. They have gone prepared. So they open their mind up like that. So, a funnel. So whatever he says goes inside, straight into the subconscious mind because they've already accepted it. So they become pithed. I saw one film recently where the Muslim fellows go to a European country and they manage to catch hold of young girls like 18, 20 and they are made to go to Syria. Syria. These are all educated parents who they don't know what to do and suddenly these girls have disappeared from the house. It is a fascinating thing. I looked at it, I said, gosh, this is nothing but hypnotherapy. These girls come, these boys are trained how to hypnotize them. So they put in the subliminal messages inside and then these girls are going like a little lamb behind them. Ella brainwash. And that is what it is. Everything is hypnotherapy. So the doctors will also do the same thing. If they master that, the way he tells you, it works. I have experimented this. A patient is very, very sick, a 14 years old girl. She was walking around like this all the time. Yeah. So parents were anxious, everybody is anxious. What the hell is this girl going on? So I said, this doesn't look anything like medical. It's all in the mind. But I can't tell the girl, it's on the mind, you go. she will definitely make more problem. So I said, yes, Jill, you are suffering, yeah? We will find a resolution for this. Then in the night, I went to see her, in the middle of the night. And she was still sleeping like that as well. I said, I couldn't believe it. Then continuously we did X-ray ಮಾಡಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ultrasound ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ no radiologist will tell it is 100% normal, okay? Take it from me. Because they cannot interpret it 100%. They will always say there is an inflammatory process or there is a flare. ಒಂದು ವರ್ಡ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಾನೆ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ತಪ್ಪಾದರೆ there is a flare, I said. What is a flare? That is an inflammatory process. I don't know what it is, but there is some damage. So they will say that. So I said, okay, there is nothing, there is a flare there. 14 days later when I went, the girl was walking around happily. I said, what happened? She was so happy. What happened? Oh, my father and mother are together. The father was trying to go out with somebody else. The mother was splitting up. So this girl did a drama in such a way to make them stick together. Oh, my darling is sick. So both were clinging on to one another. And she's fine. So medical illnesses is an illusion. It's not real. If you think you have an illness, you really have an illness. So you should have the mindset, no matter if you're dying also, as long as you don't have pain, don't even think about it. If you think about it, you're going to have it. And that is the reason we have to condition the brains, reprogram it to pre-antibiotic era. Now the population is already dying. From 84, it's come to 80. In the next 10 years, it will be 74. And every second person who goes into labor will die. Perinatal mortality, because infection is rampant during labor, and lifelong will come down. So by 2050, 10 million people will be dying every year, and the cost of just managing this is $100 trillion. Why? Because the antibiotics they're using is so expensive. Honestly, in India you cannot even afford it. In UK, they say, USA, 30% people with this infection live. Why? Because they have high insurance money, vancomycin. To produce vancomycin, it is very difficult, it is long, it takes long time, and it cannot be mass produced like this. So they produced another cephalosporin, but the bacteria is already resistant to it, because there is a strain in India which multiplied. So there is no way we can find a cure for this problem. And the only thing we can do is to educate, tell them what they are doing and how they should not do that. Starting from washing their hands to cleaning the surface. Wherever you go, you will see cleaning the hand. Push, push, push. You see the pudding. Gone. If you want to kill somebody, keep him under the water for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Yeah? Same way, you have to put the chemicals and hold it like that for 2 minutes at least, minimum. Otherwise, the bacteria are not dead. They will not die. It won't. It is sticking inside. And it is so difficult for people to comprehend that because they can't see it and they have never been told. And when you look at it in the microscope, you can see, it's quite tight. And they've got all the chemicals to stick to your body, and it cannot be taken out very easily. And that's why I say you must use soap and water. Very, very simple. Soap is a hydrogen bond anta, HH bonds. ಅದು ಅಂಟ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಇವಾಗ ಗ್ಲಾಸ್ ಹಾಕ್ತೀರಾ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಗ್ಲಾಸ್ ಹಾಕಿ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಒಂದು ಡ್ರಾಪ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಹಾಕಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಮುಟ್ಟಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. You can't separate it because water has got hydrogen. That hydrogen will form a bond, glue tara, super glue tara. So that is how the bacteria are sticking into your body. It cannot be removed by chemicals. You need to put soap into it, and soap will make it go away. Soap water ನಲ್ಲಿ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹಿಂಗೆ ಅಂದರೆ at least much better. ಈ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಡ್ರೈ ಸ್ಕಿನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಡ್ರೈ ಸ್ಕಿನ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಸ್ಕಿನ್ ಅಡಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತಿದೆ, ನೀವು ಎಷ್ಟು ತೊಳೆದ್ರೂ ಹೋಗಲ್ಲ ಅದು ಕೈಯಿಂದ. So we have to teach them that as well. So you have to teach them why? Because you land up in the hospital, the nurses are doing the mistake. If you know that the way they are washing is going to carry infection, you will stop them. You say, hey, wait a minute. What you're doing is bullshit. Clean your hand with the soap and water for 2 minutes, then come and touch me. So you're protecting yourself.
I have one. I'll interrupt.
Yeah, ready.
See, the moment we say this, these chemical companies, they're going to sue us.
No.
Telling that we are wrong guiding them like that.
That will give us more publicity, Guru. We're not scared of all this. I have scientific papers to prove cleaning hand with water is much better than chemicals. We have done it. Yeah? But not all the journals will publish our article. Do you know why? Because the articles published in the journal is sponsored by the drug companies. Their advertisements won't appear. We are in a serious disadvantage. But let them come and challenge us. I don't have to do challenging at all. I just give you the paper. How did I say 10 years ago in the radio talk show, it is Ade Hakidane, Refers and down Heltane. Please listen to see why you're safer in dirty hospitals than hyper clean ones. And that was also proved once. Hospital in UK started getting infection in 2005 and they couldn't clean the superbugs. Death was going up. So Tony Blair decided that he was going to fumigate chemical clean. Yeah? I wrote a letter to him, please don't. And he didn't listen. Then they did a study to find out whether the hospital with overcrowd, high turnover staff and overpopulation patients in the hospital, which is dirty, and the clean ones where there are less turnover and all clean, everything. When they compared the results, they had written there, it was surprising to see how this high turnover didn't make any difference. In other words, they were the hyper clean ones, death was higher. We cannot, it is surprising that we have a result like that. Hyper clean, then Warwick University did a study and they said the reason is happening is because clean ಮಾಡ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ ಡೆಟಾಲ್ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಸೀವರ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೀರಿಯಾಸ್ ಸೂಪರ್ ಬಗ್ ಆಗಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತಿದೆ. You won't believe it. I said, where is it coming? People are washing hands, still it's coming. Then I realized the problem was the tapping ಆಗ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ ಆ ಟ್ಯಾಪ್ ನೀರು ಸ್ವೀ ಅಂತ ಬೀಳುತ್ತೆ, ಅದು ತೂತಿದೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಂಕು, ಆ ತೂತುಗಳಿಗೆ ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಬೀಳುತ್ತೆ. ದೇ ಥಾಟ್ ದಟ್ಸ್ ಅ ಗುಡ್ ಐಡಿಯಾ. ಓಕೆ, ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅದ್ರ ಬದಲು ತೂತಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಲಿ ಅಂತ. ಅದನ್ನು ಹಿಂಗೆ ಅಲ್ಟ್ರಾಸೌಂಡ್ ಸ್ಟೈನ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ತೆಗೆದ್ರೆ ಆ ನೀರು ಪುಷ್ ಅಂತ ಹೋಗಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಫೌಂಟೇನ್ ಥರ ಇದು ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೀರಿಯಾಸ್ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾಕೆ? ದೇ ಆರ್ ಸೋ ಲೈಟ್. ನೀರು ಹೋಗಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಝುಕ್ ಅಂತ ಫೌಂಟೇನ್. ನಾವು ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ಲಿ ದೇ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಲ್ ದ ಟ್ಯಾಪ್ಸ್. ಅದು ಇವಾಗ ಟ್ಯಾಪ್ಸನ್ನ ಕೈ ತೊಳಿ, ಅದು ಹೆಂಗೆ ಇದು ಟ್ಯಾಪ್ ಮುಟ್ಟಂಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಹಿಂಗೆ ಕೈ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಅಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಅದು ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಡಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗೋ ಸ್ಟ್ರೈಟ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ದ ಥಿಂಗ್. Yeah, those fellows have got too much money robbed from our country and they can blow it up. How many hospitals in India can afford it? Even the best hospital that took me about few years ago for holiday, medical tourism, I had to give a report to the Indian government saying this hospital is safe. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ 5-star ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ ಎಲ್ಲ, ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಈಸ್ ಪರ್ಫೆಕ್ಟ್. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ದೇ ಡೋಂಟ್ ನೋ ವಾಟ್ ಐ ಸಿ. So I went downstairs. When I was in the foyer, I know I saw a nice toilet, but they didn't take care of the the door handles, because ಇದನ್ನು ಹಿಂಗೆ ಕಟ್ ಮುಡ್ತಾನೆ, ನರ್ಸ್ ಹೋಗಿ ಮುಡ್ತಾಳೆ ಗ್ಲೌಸ್ ಹಾಕ್ಕೊಂಡು, ಎಲ್ಲ ಇದೆ ಜರ್ಮು, ಇನ್ನು ಪೇಷಂಟ್ ಹೋಗಿ ಮುಡ್ತಾನೆ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಅಂತ ಅವನಿಗೂ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. So they haven't taken adequate care of where the infection comes. So I went downstairs and there was a lot of people waiting for the outpatient. So I said, is there a toilet here ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದೆ. ಹ್ಞೂ ಅಂತ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋದೆ, ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಟಾಯ್ಲೆಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೂತಿರೋದು. ಒಳಗಡೆ ಹೋದರೆ ಲೈಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಾನು ಫೋನಲ್ಲಿ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಲೈಟ್ ಹಾಕಿ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಗೋಡೆ ಮೇಲೆಲ್ಲ ಎಲ್ಲ ಡರ್ಟಿ. ಅಂದರೆ ದೇ ಡಿಡ್ಂಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಎನಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಡೂ, ದೇ ಬ್ಲಡಿ ಬಾಂಬ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಆರ್ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ವಿತ್ ಪೂ ಎಲ್ಲ. ಫೋಟೋ ತೊಗೊಂಡೆ. ದೆನ್ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅವರು ಓಕೆ ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ವೆರಿ ಮಚ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಗುಡ್ ಬಾಯ್ ಅಂತೆಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೋದೆ. ಹೋಗಿ ನೋಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಇನ್ ಫ್ರಂಟ್ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಲಿಟಲ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಸಿಟ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ದೇರ್ ಸೆಲ್ಲಿಂಗ್ ಬನಾನಾಸ್, ಪ್ಲಾಂಟೇನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ ದಿಸ್, ಪೇಷಂಟಿಗೆ all these fruits thrown away. They're making a living out of it. But what they didn't realize was how safe it is. ನಾನು ಒಂದು ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಕ್ಯಾಮ್ರಾ ಹಾಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ದೂರದಿಂದ ಐ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡೆಡ್ ಇಟ್. ಐ ಸಾ ಒನ್ ಲಿಟಲ್ ಕಿಡ್ ಗೋ ದೇರ್. ಒಂದು ಹೆಂಗ್ಸ್ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಎಲ್ಲ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಆ್ಯಪಲ್ ಮೌಂಟೇನ್ಸ್ ಅದು ಅಂತ ಹೋಯ್ತು, ಅದು ಹಿಂದೆ ಹೋಯ್ತು. ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಸಿಟ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ದೇರ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಈ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟೆಡ್ ವೀಯಿಂಗ್. When it's weeing, what the child is doing is he's got a little stone there, and he is weeing onto that stone, and then he's taking his hand and playing like this on the wee thingy. Then he gets up and he comes. He didn't wash his ass or anything, he just came. And then he's picking the apples. I just couldn't believe this. Because ಕೈನಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆಯೋ ಅದು ಕೀಟ ಅವು ಆ್ಯಪಲ್ನ ತೆಗ್ದ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದರು ಒಂದು ಹೆಂಗಸು ಅದೇ ಆ್ಯಪಲ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಎತ್ಬೇಡ ಬ್ಯಾಗಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕ್ಕೊಟ್ರು ತೊಗೊಂಡು ಹೋದ್ಲು ಅವ್ರು ಒಳಗಡೆ ಪೇಷಂಟ್ ಕೊಡೋಕ್ಕೆ. How many germs have gone in like that? And when I showed it to them, they were shocked. They said, we are going to ban all these fellows here. Ban ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಸರ್, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ದೂರದಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕಿರ್ತಾರೆ. Can't.
Solution. Where is the solution?
That's what.
Alterations
Education. Education. You, so the people know this is how the germ goes. They'll buy the apple at home, wash it and take it.
Correct.
Not go inside laziness, buy it in front of the shop. So people who listen to us will do that. People who don't listen to us, they're going to kill themselves. Fine, let them go. We are not God to save everybody. We have to save the people who deserves to live. That is what it is. It is not survival of the fittest. The survival of fittest who is necessary, because we need a new generation of people who can think logically, do the right thing, not just live the way we have lived. Honestly, there is no excuse. We have to. If people don't accept it, at least we have tried. When I die, I will die peacefully that I have tried. So what I am asking you is, I have all the tools necessary. You have to sit and plan how we can. I have said, as I said, you have to get the color coding thingy done, which way you're doing, where you're getting the money. I can afford to pay 10,000, 20,000 rupees. That's all. I don't have lots of money because I spent all my money suing the government in UK. I took legal actions to stop this in UK. So they screwed my life up without paying fees. They stopped paying me since 2009. They didn't pay me a single penny. And yet they got away with it. I won the case because they didn't want my case to go to trial. I've got 70 patients' mistakes. A patient get nurseಗಳು ತಪ್ಪು ಡ್ರಗ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋದೆಲ್ಲ ಇದೆ ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ. I have patient records. And but the thing is, for me, ethical. Like, you see, I don't want to trouble them.
At least we understood correctly.
Yeah, I don't want to trouble these patients, okay? They are living somehow, they have been, father has been killed by these nurses, but they don't know that. I don't want to unnecessarily inflict pain and suffering to them. They start realizing, oh, my father was killed by the nurses and we didn't do anything about it. Yeah, but so now we need to plan and execute it.
To do that, I have 10 questions to you.
Please.